everyone. I don't know if anyone's here because I did not send an email, but today is the first ever tech tutorial for a Lunch and Learn, and it's a new thing for Planner Academy 2.0. So for the month of February and the month of March, it is free. So if you look below me, if you're in Crowdcast, you will see the link to download the workbook. If you're on YouTube, just head over to Crowdcast and find me. I'm Lisa Ellen Seifert, and then you can download the workbook there as well. If you are watching this later on, then I will set up a new link for the workbook for you. Now, the thing to remember is these lessons are really just meant to be quick lunch learns, and I realize it's 3 o'clock, so it's probably a dinner and learn if you're on the East Coast because it's already 6 o'clock. But I just didn't want to email everyone this week because we had just closed down Planner Academy, so I know you guys got a ton of launch emails, so I wanted to sort of spare you because I did send out another email asking for feedback, and people were, some of the feedback was like, stop emailing me. So let me mute the site for YouTube. So I have both windows open. If you guys have any questions, just pop them in. And if you have questions afterwards, you have two options. One, you can just throw them here into the comments. I will answer them. Since the channel has grown, I always say I'm going to answer every single question, but it has been a little overwhelming with all of the comments. So if I don't get to it right away, I promise I will. And yeah. So, because it's just me, I have gotten rid of all of my staff from last year. I had a ton of assistants, I had tech people, I had admins, I had all these things, and it was actually just causing me more work. So, yeah, so it is just me. So it might take me a little longer to answer things, but I promise I will get answered. If you're new here, my name is Lisa, and this is the Pretty Fabulous Designs channel, and I help online businesses create beautiful digital downloads using Adobe InDesign. So that's why today we are going over the InDesign Toolbar. Now, I'm going to flip my screen, and I'm going to share Adobe InDesign with you. So I think sometimes when I share, you can't see, for some reason, the tools, like all of the menus, and I don't know, honestly, how to solve that. So hopefully you can see everything. So right now you should be able to see, I think you can only see the file. Can you guys see the toolbar? Let me check. Let me check over here on, yeah, you can see the toolbar. It's just really small. Hold on, let me try to make Adobe InDesign smaller and see if that helps. Just gonna reset over here. And I'm going to change this view to zoom in. Nope, zoom out. There we go. So it's a little small. The problem is, it's not really a problem, but I have a 34-inch ultra-wide monitor, so I make things really big. And obviously, if you're sitting right here with me, it looks fine. But if you are watching remotely, it could be a little big. All right. Hopefully that helped. I tried to shrink it down as tiny as I can. So over here on the left is your toolbar. So make sure if you have the workbook downloaded, the first question is, how do you find the toolbar? So hopefully 9 times out of 10, as soon as you open up Adobe InDesign, the toolbar will just be there on the left. Cassandra Turner, sorry, I came in on workbook link. No worries, Cassandra. Okay, so the thing is, this toolbar here is a floating toolbar. See, it's on the top now, and you can also put it on the left. You can have it doubled up. You can move it around. It is a floating toolbar. So I don't know if you guys can see, it's in the middle of the screen now. It's over to the right of the screen. It is now back on the left. But this toolbar, just so you know, is not like always going to be there. If you don't see the toolbar, do not panic. All you need to do to find it is go to the top and go to Windows. I don't think you can see this in the menu, but I'm going to Window at the top, and then go ahead and select Tools. That's all you have to do is go to Window Tools. In fact, maybe I can't do these as live lunch and learns because I don't think you guys can see the tech part. But that's how you find it. So the next question is, what does the bottom right triangle mean? So if you look at some of these icons over here on the left on the toolbar, you'll notice that the T, which is the type tool, has a little sort of triangle on the bottom right. And so does the pen tool, and so does the rectangle, and so does the pencil, etc., and so on. So what that means is there are other tools hidden inside of there. So it's not just the one pencil tool. If you right click on it, you're going to be able to see that you can have the pencil tool, the smooth tool, or the erase tool. Trying to just tell you, hey, there are extra things hidden inside of here, not just what you see. And yeah, when I right click it, you can't see it. So I will have to rethink these live sessions. So we might just have a pre-recorded one and then a live Q&A at the end or something. All right. So the third question is, are the shortcuts the same for the PC and the Mac? Because a lot of times you're going to find shortcut lists and you're going to wonder, can I use it? Can I not use it? And the answer is sometimes yes, sometimes no. I do not have a PC and I do not teach at all on how to use a PC. So it's usually the same. You have to remember there is no Alt key on a Mac, or you could have a different keyboard altogether, or you could be on a laptop that has different rights, or you could have bought a different keyboard. So yes and no. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I just wouldn't, you might just have to do trial and error to kind of figure out what's going to work for each. Or sometimes I think some people are really adamant about testing it on Mac and PC, even though I'm not. I think if you go to I can't remember their names. They're the InDesign Secrets people or whatever. They do a really good job of showing you what it is on Mac and what it is on PC. They like going back and forth between the two. Okay, so the next thing is over on the right, you're going to see the toolbar, or not on the right, your workbook. Saying on the right. On the next page, you're going to see the Toolbox Overview. So in here, all of the tools have been grouped for you based on what they do for you. So you have A, B, C, and D. So the first set is A, and this is these first 4 tools that you see over here at the top. And those tools are what you call selection tools. We'll go through those in a minute, but I just want to tell you what A, B, and C are. B is your next set of tools down over here on the left. And these are going to be your, starting with the T, these are going to be your drawing and type tools. And then as you go for, there's a bunch of them. So as you go down further, once you see the scissors, this is what is called your transformation tools. And then if you go even further down to the note tool, that's going to be your modification and navigation tools. So all of these have been kind of logically grouped for you, even though it looks like when you look at the toolbar, if you're new to Adobe InDesign, like what the heck am I looking at? I'm not going to go through all the tools, only because this is meant to be like a learn everything InDesign lesson. This is really just what do you need to create documents and to go ahead and make planners, because I honestly don't use all of them. And so in fact, sometimes I use some of them never. So I'm going to go over the top ones that I use. So let's just go down the list. The first one right here that you see is your selection tool. Now, the selection and the direct selection right to the right of that are both selection tools. The difference is the selection tool, if you see, once I highlight something, it's going to highlight the whole box. If I do the direct selection tool, it's only going to select the image that is inside the box. So in here is or a better example might be this one. So if I do the direct selection and I go over here, this is the bounding box. So I can make this bigger or I can make it smaller. So let's go ahead and say I'm going to make this direct selection tool. I'm going to select this and I want this to be bigger. So I'm just going to hold this down. But the bounding box is still that same size. So even though the item inside there is bigger, you can't see it because the bounding box, which is what you create with the selection tool, is too small. So in order to see it, I'd have to select the bounding box and then I have to make that bigger, so that then you can see everything. So think of the bounding box, the selection tool, as a picture frame. And if the picture frame isn't big enough, it doesn't matter how much picture you have in the back of the canvas, it's going to get cut off, right? So, and that is your direct selection tool, which is the direct object inside of that bounding box. So those are the two main tools that I always use up here at the top. Now this tool up here, I'm going to tell you to ignore. This is the page tool. So when you select this, you can resize pages, but it's very unnatural and it looks kind of weird. So I would just say ignore it. If you're going to do change page sizes, you're going to want to use liquid layouts, or you're going to use, I have a lesson on my YouTube channel on how to resize pages. So go through that if you want to learn how to use resize pages. Otherwise, I would just ignore this. This is your gap tool. I never use the gap tool. Rick, hi Rick. Over here, this is your content collector tool, and this is your content placer. Again, more tools, I never ever use them. So now let's go down to your drawing tool. This first one is your type tool. I use this 99% of the time. So the type tool is going to be what allows you to type. So when you use Photoshop or Illustrator or any of the other tools, type works very differently than it does in Adobe InDesign. So for example, if I go to type something on the sheet, I first have to create a type box that I can type into. And again, that type box is kind of, if I go to the selection tool, I can see it is exactly this size, and text will only fit inside of there. So if I write something that is way too long, let me make this a little smaller. Let's say I go ahead and I type something at, let's say 25 or 20, is that right? 20, and I'm going to say it's, I don't even know what to write. This lesson is all about how to use the Adobe InDesign Toolbar. And it goes over each of the tools. So I'm still typing, but you don't see anything, and I'll show you why. Once I go to the selection tool, it's gone. And see that little red plus over here? That tells me that I have extra text. So if I delete that text over here, that red plus sign goes away because now I don't have it. So, edit. So now I want to go ahead and make it bigger. All I have to do is to go to the selection tool and I can make this bigger. And now I can see the rest of my text where I have more typos, but that's okay. It's not a typing lesson. So that's the type tool. I use that all the time. Even when you make a table inside of Adobe InDesign, you need the type tool to make a table. So you're going to get familiar with the type tool because it's always there. So type on a path tool is going to let you type words that are in a circle, words that go up and down. So we're going to learn more about that in a later lesson when we go over how to make your text look like a magazine layout. So I'm not going to go over that here. If we go down the line, here's the line tool. Now the line tool I use maybe once in a while because it creates, like you can see, a line. Now, the better way to create lines is actually to use paragraph styles. So I have a whole lesson called How to Create Notes and Lined Pages on the YouTube channel that you should go check out if you want to know how to do lines. But drawing, if I wanted to do lines, it would be so inefficient for me to make a page of lines just going up and down with the line tool. Would take forever. So I only use the line tool if I need to make something really small or there's a line that you can't see or something I forgot. It's like a quick sort of solution. So that's the line tool. The next is the pen tool. I actually strongly dislike the pen tool. The pen tool is really, I think, better for people who are Adobe Illustrator lovers. So if you love Adobe Illustrator or if you ever use Illustrator, pretty much it's just how to use the pen tool. So kind of like Adobe InDesign is mostly how to use the tool. So I never ever use the pen tool. Inside of here, there's different things that you can set. You can add anchors, you can delete anchors. It's just too mathematical and geometrical for me. All right, so that is the pen tool. And over here is the pencil tool. Again, so the pencil tool is going to let you actually just write like an actual pen, so I can write weird things or whatever I want. I can write my name, I can hold it down and just write squirrels or scribbles. So that's the pencil tool. And then hidden inside here is a smooth tool and an erase tool. Again, I never use those either. So I'm not good at freehand drawing. I also I no longer have my Wacom tablet. I used to use that for calligraphy, but I stopped. I just use the iPad now with Procreate. But if you are so inclined and much more talented than me, which is not going to be that difficult, you might really like the pencil tool, and as well as the pen tool if you are really into Adobe Illustrator. So over here is what's called a rectangle frame. So hidden under here is an ellipse frame and a polygon frame. All this means is, let's say I want to place an object here, I can go ahead and create a frame for it, like that selection tool, so that when I place something in there, it can only go within that bounding box, right? You're basically creating a frame, whether it's a rectangle or it's a circle, or it's a polygon. And that's just if you want to pre-size things so you don't have to think about it. So once you have your bounding box, you go to the selection tool and you'd go over to File Place, and then you'd be able to place in your actual item. Rick says, unable to subscribe to stream in a reasonable amount of time. I refreshed and still not working. I'm so sorry, Rick. You can actually just watch over on YouTube if you want. See if I can add the link. That might be a better option. I just added the link for you. Chrome, Crowdcast does work best on Chrome, but I've actually never had any problems with it. So anyways, all right, so let's keep going. Moved on the frame. Now the rectangle tool underneath. So this thing with the X is a frame, just like I said, like a picture frame. This actually just draws an actual rectangle for you. So let's go to, I'm pretty much ruined that page. So let's go ahead and add a new page. So let me go to Pages and add new. There we go. All right, so over here, I can go ahead and add a box. Now, I can't see the colors, so let me make this black. There we go. So now I've added a rectangle, right, using that tool. But remember, this has the little triangle, so there's tools behind it. I can also add an ellipse, so I can add a circle. And again, I don't know why it keeps making it white. Let's make it black. Or I can also add a polygon over here. So that's your rectangle tool on the left. So let's move over to the transformation tools. Now the transformation tools, I actually never use the transformation tools. This is really more, I think, if you're an illustrator. I don't use the freeform, the rotate, the scale. I don't really use any of these. So once you have the rotate on, you'll see those little green lines you had before. And again, you can just draw kind of weird shapes with it. You can move things around. And again, it's just too much math for me, like too much geometry for me to think about anchor points and how you move stuff and how you do things like that. But again, I don't draw like at all, not freehand, not anything. If you ever see an illustration, I actually paid somebody to make it for me. I'm not a good illustrator at all. So these to me are more illustration tools inside of here because they have this, they have the rotate, the scale, and they have shear. Over here are gradient swatches and what are called a gradient feather. I actually, if I need to gradient something, I will only use Adobe Photoshop. It's much easier. If you would like to know how to use these though to create metallic foils, I already have a tutorial on YouTube, so I won't go through that again. But you can use the gradients to help you create like a pink metallic foil or a blue metallic foil or whatever you want, like that look and effect. Now we're going to move on to the modification and navigation tools. So this is the notes tool. I actually never use this tool, so we're going to skip that. Over here is the eyedropper tool. I actually use the eyedropper tool quite a lot. So it defaults on color theme tool. You have eyedropper and you have measure. Measures if you want to actually measure something on the page. Again, as I mentioned, Math is not my forte, so I don't do that. But the eyedropper tool, what the eyedropper tool will do is I have it selected, right? And so let's go to this page. So the page has a lot of pinks on it, but I'm not really sure what colors they are. And I don't have time to go through and look up all the hex codes. All I have to do is use the eyedropper tool here, and it's going to just tell me right away what colors are. I double click that over here. The color theme tool, if I click this and do that same thing, it's going to bring up for me, if you've ever seen those mood boards, it's going to try to guess all the colors in this panel for you. Now, once it does that, what you can do is you can go over here to the right and say add to your swatches. And once I click the add button, if I go to the top and I go over here to colors and I scroll down, I'm going to see it at the very bottom. And again, I don't know if you can see this. I don't think you can. I don't know why sometimes Crowdcast does not show the drop-down list. So that's not going to be helpful. But once you go to the colors and you go down here, you'll see colorful theme number 5, and it'll be the colors that you selected. All right, so that is Adobe InDesign. Sorry, that's the eyedropper tool, the measure. And then over here, again, the hand tool. I never really use the hand tool. This just kind of moves things around. I have no reason to move things around. You could also just use these arrows or these sliders here at the bottom and the right, like in those really, really old like website designs, the ones that aren't fit for mobile and aren't auto-responsive. If you find a website from like 1996, it will also make you move these things at the bottom. So that's kind of what the hand is. So I've just kind of gotten out of the habit of using that. And then the last one is zoom, which is kind of self-explanatory. You can just zoom in on things. All right, so that was it for the toolbar. I know, crazy, it's really quick. So really quick lunch and learn. I hope you found that a little bit useful. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I don't think you do. And if you have questions afterwards, if you're watching this later, just drop them into the comments in the bottom and I will get back to you. All right, I hope everyone's having a great day. Don't forget, next Wednesday, there's 2 live streams next week. The Wednesday one is going to be a business chat. It's also a part of Planner Academy 2.0, but it will be free for February and for March, like I mentioned. So we'll be talking about the top design trends and sales and marketing promos going on that I think you should think about using. And also on Thursday, I will be doing a live stream to unveil the brand new fitness planner. You definitely want to join because I will give you a hint. I do have special pricing for that day only, and especially people that attend the webinar. So that will be launching on Friday the 27th, and it will be at noon. So I will see you guys back this next week on Wednesday or Thursday. All right. Bye, everyone.